Our third speaker for the day today is Matthew Lee Greiner. Matthew actually was as a young man, was a clay maker and a potter, which I didn't know that about him. He actually was born and raised in Los Gatos, California, and went to Los Gatos High School, which is where my mother went to high school. So we have some interesting things in common, coming from the Bay Area originally. By trade, he is a financial advisor and has, no question, through the speeches that he has provided here in this room, has exuded a passion and obviously a love for helping people. Today, he is doing book speech 3 from the Communicating on Video book, which this is for some of us old-timers who've been in Toastmasters a long time. This is actually a newer book. And I went through it because I had not heard of it before when Matthew first told me he was doing this speech. But obviously he has a desire to become more equipped to handle television and video broadcasts, and this particular speech will lend itself very well to being the host of a show of that sort. He will be interviewing a great American, Bill O'Meara, today. Book speech number 3 from the Communication on Video. An interview with a great American, Bill O'Meara, 5 to 7 minutes, please.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. My name is Matthew, and thank you for coming to today's show, the Greiner Morning Show. As I was driving to the studio this morning, I was contemplating life. I was thinking about how fortunate and how great it is to live in this country, America. Awesome. And I asked myself in contemplation, what makes America great? It is the people of this great nation that make America great. And what do these people have? They have a servitude attitude. They want to help their fellow Americans. They want to put other people and help them in this world. They also have moral fortitude, these great Americans. Today I have the opportunity to sit down and talk with a great American, Mr. William Bill O'Meara. Pleasure to have you.
Pleasure to be here.
Well, Mr. O'Meara, I wanted to ask you a question. Where did you grow up, and what was it like growing up in your household as a boy?
Well, I grew up all over the country. I was born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. For the first 3 years after I moved to Waukegan, Illinois. Then I moved to Chicago, Illinois. During the war, we moved to Grass Valley while my mother worked in the shipyards. Then we moved back to Chicago. In 1950, we moved out to San Jose, California, where I went to Bellarmine High School, which is close to Los Gatos.
I remember very well.
Then moved to Los Angeles and finished my high school education at Loyola High School, and then went to Loyola University. It was interesting because you asked about my family. When I was, first of all, I'm an only child. But I was raised in a house where my uncle and aunt lived upstairs. My grandmother and my mother lived downstairs with me. And so I always had 6 or 7 cousins around me. So I really had a large family because we did a lot of things together. I remember, this is just as a child, this is before I became aware of women's breasts. But I can remember my grandmother hugging me and right in between me. I had no clue of what was going on. But we had a great time. So my cousin Barbara and I did dancing lessons together in Chicago to put on different performances. And she's now living in Las Vegas, and I got a call from her about 3 years ago that she's started taking dancing lessons again and did a performance down in Los Angeles. So.
That's great, Mr. O'Meara. Can you talk a little bit on why did you get involved in law and becoming an attorney?
That's a good question because my mother wanted me to be a lawyer and I fought her all my life. I went in the Navy, and I enjoyed the Navy, and I got assigned as an assistant legal officer down in Coronado, and they gave me a job. I was waiting to go into a specific program for the Navy, but I was assigned as assistant legal officer, and they gave me a job to do finding a research project. And so I went for a couple of weeks to the library at night to find out this project and get this answer for this sailor. I found it. I got so excited by finding it. I said to myself right there, this is what I should be doing. So I left the Navy, even though I loved it, and I went to law school. And that's what got me started
In law, practicing law.
Yeah.
David, how has Toastmasters impacted you in your professional career?
Very much. I can remember the first time I had to go to the Nevada Supreme Court on a criminal case that I had appealed. I felt that the judge had failed to give an instruction that was important, so I went to the Supreme Court. In those days, it was in the old building. And when the justices came out, there were two doors, and they would slam open, and then the justice would come out. Scared the living hell out of me. The first time I was there, I just panicked. And so when I started to my presentation for the appeal, I just told them, I said, I want you to understand that my voice is a little shaky and it's a little high. It's not because of the position I take, it's because I'm scared to death. Toastmasters gave me that ability to overcome that fear. So when I go to court, I don't have that fear anymore. When I go to the front of a jury, I don't have that fear anymore. And obviously when I come to Toastmasters, I don't have that fear anymore. So Toastmasters has rounded me out so that I can participate in anything that deals with speaking.
And on that same subject of speaking to the public, Mr. Romero, I understand that you served in the capacity of politics, is that correct?
Yes.
Could you please share about that with us?
Sure. When I first came here, I belonged to or joined the Nevada Republican Party, the junior group, I guess is a better way of saying it. It was young Republicans. And we had a great time. We did a lot of things. We helped candidates. We did a lot of things to help go out and walk precincts and talk to people and things of that nature. It was a lot of fun. Then I decided I would run for office, and I ran for the House of Representatives against James Santini. In those days, I belonged to this club, and James Santini's brother was in this club.
Wow.
I think Tom remembers that, and I'm sure Gary remembers that. But we never had any dislike or bad feelings towards each other. We ran a campaign. We kept it on the issues. Nobody was belittling the other side or anything else. So it was a wonderful experience for me. At that time, I had 5 or 6 children. We got in a van and traveled all over the Nevada. I didn't realize how big it was until I took that trip. It's amazing how much land we have. I often think about people saying it's overcrowded and all that sort of thing.
Well, thank
They
you,
ought
Mr.
to
Romero.
travel between Yarrington.
I gotta get to a commercial break right now. But we'll be back with you in just a moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Bill. And just a side note, Matthew went to the same high school as my mother. Bill went